Well, we appreciate everyone being here today. My name is David Lamont. I serve as Commissioner of the Department of Economic and Community Development under Governor Ned Lamont. And we have a really important message today, and it's a different message than what we've been talking about. First off, this is not a press conference or a message on reopening. This is not a message on COVID. What we want to talk about today is getting back to business, getting back to normal. We feel like we're at a time in Connecticut with the economy fully open that it's time to get people back in our offices, back on our airplanes, back in our hotels, back in our convention center. It's really critical, given how circular and intertwined the economy is, that we start getting back to normal. And we realize this isn't going to happen on a dime. Nothing we say is going to change it all of a sudden, but there's a real shift that's needed, and that we're starting to see already, that our speakers will talk about, to make sure that we're getting back to normal, or the new normal. We realize certain things are going to be a bit different. One data point before I bring up our first speaker, which is, one of the things we've tracked as it relates to the economy, is what is the back to normal index. CNN and Moody's at the end of last summer joined forces to create a back to normal index, and it looks at the percentage of activity relative to pre-pandemic. So the last reading, Connecticut's activity, economic activity, was 92% of pre-pandemic activity. And that ranks us 19th out of 50 states. So the average for the United States is 90 right now. So we are better than average. But we need to get that to 100%, and really we need to get it beyond 100%. And we think that's going to start happening with all of the residents of Connecticut feeling more confident, going back to the offices, getting on that airplane, getting in that hotel, and going to these events. And that's really the message we want to communicate to you all today. So with that, I'm going to bring up our first speaker, and is actually our host, Mike Freeman, who is the chairman and president of the Capital Region Development Authority, owner of the convention center. Mike?
Thank you. My index for getting back to work is the fact I got a suit on today, and our COVID puppy didn't know who I was. So we're definitely back at work. We have already opened up the buildings. In fact, this weekend, the lacrosse national championships out at Rensselaer will be underway. There's 10,000 people who bought tickets already for Saturday's games, and they go through to Monday. But the important point is the spin-off. There's over 600 hotel nights been booked this weekend, half of them in downtown Hartford. So the impact of these buildings coming back alive is already being felt. There are people who'll be working this weekend that weren't last weekend, primarily because we opened up Rensselaer. The XL Center will open up in August with 3 events being queued, and this building itself officially gets underway on Labor Day. As you know, it's still being used for some COVID-related work, but we have major events scheduled throughout the fall. Including some big events that will bring a lot of folks into the hotels and restaurants as we reopen Front Street. To that point, Front Street 2 is reopened. Infinity Theater is going to have a soft opening, and we're going to see some formal events being launched in the next couple of weeks. And as well, we're starting to see some knocks on the door to fill some of the restaurant space from new restaurants. That's all very positive and good. There's always a second generation of entrepreneur out there, and we're starting to see them. So these things are happening. They're real. We're feeling them. We're bringing back our staff. Some have come back in. Some are happy about it. Some are less so, but they're coming to work. And we're starting to get the buildings cooking. And we welcome you all to come around and hang out with us this weekend out at Rensselaer, and be here in this building the next couple of weeks. So thank you.
Mike, thanks so much. And Rensselaer, that will be an amazing event this weekend. And just the multiplier effect, as you mentioned, in terms of hotels, restaurants, vibrancy here in Hartford, that will be a welcome sight. Next up, we're going to talk a bit about air travel. So Kevin Dillon, head of the Connecticut Airport Authority. We expect a very robust leisure travel market and vacation market coming up, as people haven't been able to do that for a while. But we'll talk a little bit about that and what we're seeing on the business front. Kevin?
Thank you, David. Good afternoon. I mean, certainly I don't have to tell anybody about the impacts to the airport and the travel business, but we're back at this point. I really have to give a lot of credit to our frontline workers. They kept the airport open the entire time throughout the pandemic. Certainly want to thank Governor Lamont for his leadership. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of the decisions he made throughout this pandemic, so certainly thank you, Governor. But I think people should feel very safe traveling, right? Bradley has put a lot of effort into making sure people are comfortable as they return to the skies. We received our health accreditation from ACI. There are very few airports in the country that have that, and it really shows the level of effort we've put into making people feel comfortable to return. We have a lot of exciting new destinations that have been announced. Even throughout the pandemic, we added LA service, San Francisco service, Cancun, great leisure destination, Las Vegas. Southwest added Nashville service throughout the pandemic. And just recently, we were very pleased to get an announcement from Breeze Airline, a new startup airline, that's going to be adding a lot of exciting destinations to the airport. So I could go on and on all day long to talk about all of the wonderful things we're trying to accomplish at the airport. We went from being down 97% in terms of passenger traffic to right now we're down somewhere around 40%. We anticipate a very, very healthy summer travel period, and I'm hopeful that by the end of the travel period in the summer, that number is getting us closer to normal. So the one thing I would ask everybody in Connecticut, please take a trip, take a flight, take that vacation that you've been yearning for a long time. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, we have Ginny Kozlowski, who is the Executive Director of the Connecticut Lodging Association. And we need to talk hotels. Hotels have been a great partner during the pandemic, working closely with Governor Lamont and his administration. But things like business meetings and business travel, that is so important for our hotels. So, Ginny, please.
As David said, I'm Ginny Kozlowski with the Connecticut Lodging Association. And first, I also want to thank Governor Lamont. Early in the pandemic, he said hotels are essential businesses to the state of Connecticut, and we welcome that recommendation. We are getting back to the business of travel. As Mike and Kevin had noted, leisure travel has come back with a boom. This weekend, many of our hotels are sold out across the state. It is Memorial Day weekend, which is always a heavy travel period, but we're ready for businesses to come back and start having those all-important meetings and spending money in our communities across the state. We have several large hotels in Stamford, Hartford, New Haven, New London, and they're ready and able to take your business. And we have these great new airlines that can bring people into Connecticut. So it will be very important that we all coordinate our effort to create that greatest experience. One of the things that we are saying every day is yes to Connecticut, and we will continue to say yes to Connecticut because it's a great state. So thank you again, and have a great holiday weekend.
Thanks, Jenny. Next up, we have Rohan Freeman, who is the president and founder of Freeman Companies and a local business owner, and who I understand is getting back to the office very soon. So, Rohan, please come up and talk to us about what you're seeing. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I got to say, this is the first time since the pandemic that I've been out in public, no mask, with people that I don't know. I can't even tell you how good this feels for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but can you tell I'm happy? Well, my name is Rohan Freeman. I am the founder and president of Freeman Companies and Seven Summits Construction, both located here in Hartford on John Street. We have approximately 50 employees at our Hartford location. At present, we're working on the Department of Transportation, with the Department of Transportation completing the rehabilitation of the notoriously bottlenecked Charter Oak Bridge. And as planned, and with great anticipation, it opened last night, as you might have known. And if you haven't been following it, I think this is great news. So I would just like to say that everyone is excited about the possibilities that this major transportation infrastructure investment will create for the state. Let me take the opportunity to thank the governor for keeping the architecture, engineering, and construction industries open during the pandemic, so that projects like the Charter Oak Bridge improvements could continue to be designed and built across the state. As an essential business, we were allowed to stay open during the pandemic, albeit with limited capacity. And because of this, our companies were able to continue to grow and, yes, even thrive. Working during the pandemic caused us to adapt quickly to new models of doing business, which will have a positive and lasting impact. These lessons we wouldn't have learned otherwise. We're excited that the governor is formally opening the state, or has opened the state, and we look forward to seeing our clients and colleagues again, personally, not just virtually. And to having our in-office staff at full capacity beginning June 1st. Psychologically, we need to get back to normal. Economically, we need to get workers back in the city, spending their time and dollars helping to revitalize restaurants, shops, services, and neighborhoods. We consider our employees as vital to the livelihood and economic vitality of the community. They go out every day for lunch. They go to the gym. They go see the yard goats with their families. They buy gas. They get their eyeglasses repaired. They patronize countless other small businesses around the city that rely on them for economic vitality. And that is an economic importance that cannot be overlooked. Finally, like everyone here and across the state, I'm excited that this is coming to an end. And again, I want to say thank you to the governor and all the members of the task force. You kept us all focused on the future, get to that future safely, and here we are today. No matter what suggestions you came up with, and no matter how good it was, you were always going to upset someone. So again, thank you for your steadfastness and your leadership. On behalf of our 50 employees in Hartford, I say thank you, and we're excited to get back to business as normal.
You can see I'm still getting used to shaking hands properly here. It is going to take some time. Rohan, that was great, and really look forward to having your employees back in Hartford. And the state employees, as the governor has previously announced, are coming back soon, too. Next up, we have Christy Patima. And Chris, as many of you know, is the head of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, who is in touch with and represents many of the largest employers in our state. Chris?
Rohan is an incredibly tough act to follow, so I'll just leave it right there that he's a member of CBIA, and we're very proud to have him as a member. And it's great to see so many of you from the neck down, because I did not know what most of you had looked like, having joined CBIA in August in the middle of the pandemic. But thank you, David. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, everyone. Listen, it's been a tremendous 14 months. As we've said, the perseverance, the resiliency, and the innovation of our residents and our businesses in Connecticut has been second to none. And it's the reason why we've led the response to the pandemic relative to the health crisis. I thank you, Governor and David, and all the staff for the strong public-private partnership that we've had. And that's what we need moving forward as well. We have a tremendous opportunity in front of us. Because of our response to the health crisis, we have had some incredibly positive economic news. Incredible fourth quarter GDP growth, thousands of people moving to our state, 40,000 business startups in 2020, a real estate market that is on fire right now. Budget surplus, rainy day fund beyond the volatility cap, incredibly positive news. We need to take this last step, put the pandemic behind us in the rearview mirror, and fully realize our economic potential. As the governor says, the economy here in Connecticut is like a coiled spring ready to unleash. And getting folks back to the office, getting our residents back into our cities, shopping, enjoying each other's time, enjoying the culture and arts, as Rohan mentioned, is so critical. So I know at CBIA we have 100 employees, just a few blocks up the road. We're all coming back to the office on June 1st. Department meetings will be in person, staff meetings will be in person. We think it's critical not just because we are important to the community. We know it's critical because the collaboration in person is so very instrumental to the innovation that we realize in our organization. So we look forward to the summer. We look forward to seeing the economy explode like it never has before. We look forward to Connecticut once again being an economic leader in this country. Thank you.
Chris, I know I'm not objective, but your stump speech resonates with me, so I want you to know that. And thanks CBIA for being such a great partner as we've navigated the crisis. Next up, we have David Griggs, who is the head of the Metro Hartford Alliance and also a great partner of the state of Connecticut and DECD. David?
Thank you, David. And first, thank you to all of you for making my job so easy. Thank you, Governor, for your leadership through the pandemic and getting us to this point. I just came back from the Hartford Chamber of Commerce's ribbon cutting. So again, things are opening up, things are happening. We've got the Athletic that are going to be playing at Dillon Field. We've got the Yard Goats that are playing. People are coming back downtown to our companies that have begun to refill your offices. Thank you. To those that are still looking to, we encourage you to speed that up if you can. I'd also say this is Hartford's time. The pandemic has shown that who we are, just who we are intrinsically, we're not making anything up here, but who we are is what people in New York and people in Boston want. They're moving here. So I encourage all of you, when you see that out-of-state plate, when you go out for to a restaurant for dinner, say hello, right? Tell them your favorite place, tell them your secret places. And for that reopening, you know, if you're looking for a great, I'll give you my secret place. If you're looking for a great celebratory cigar with a great Connecticut wrapper on it, I know a guy on Pratt Street who will hook you up. So share your secrets, welcome our new people, and thank you, Governor, for hosting this event.
Sabrina, sorry, I was getting lonely over there. Please come on up. We have Sabrina Tucker Barrett, who's going to speak next, who's also been a tremendous partner of the state, heading up a group called Girls for Technology. Sabrina.
Thank you for having me. So I am Sabrina Tucker Barrett. I am the co-founder of Girls for Technology, nonprofit organization located here in Hartford. We are a state agency providing services to girls and young women, really empowering them to get into jobs and careers within STEM. And so I really am hoping that, the world really opens up. I'm excited about it. And, so that we can get back to our programming, having our tremendous gala that we have had in the past, and getting women back to college. So we need to be able to raise funds. So this is an exciting time, and thank you for having me.
Is Mayor Bronin here? I didn't see him. He might be stopping by. All right, Governor, back to business. You're up.
All right, thanks, David. Looks like you just walked off the set of Miami Vice, looking liberated. Hartford Vice. This is great. I mean, I have spent the last year plus saying, stay safe, stay home. And today I'm telling you, get out of the damn house, come enjoy Hartford, get on a plane, visit a restaurant, go to an amazing hotel. This is a time where Connecticut is open, ready for business, and we want you coming back. And, I love the stories. Just, Kevin was saying, we now have more destinations out of Bradley than we had pre-COVID. And I was telling everybody, stay local. Well, not this year. Feel free to travel a little bit. Travel around the great state of Connecticut, by the way. Do you realize last year we had more people visit our parks and beaches than any time in the history of the state? Now, Ginny, you want them just to stick around a little bit longer, don't we? And maybe stay at a hotel. Ginny said something fascinating. We're so busy with weddings over the course of the next 4 months. Sorry, Saturday, Sunday, that's off. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, you better book it pretty soon because this is the time to do it. And what a beautiful place to do it right here. And Rohan, you're right. We were up there at the opening of, the Charter Oak, and just in the nick of time. I mean, I was looking down. I think a lot of people don't need as much encouragement because there are a lot of cars on the road right now. It's picking up in terms of the traffic. Thank God you got that done in the nick of time. Mike, just in time for the lacrosse finals at Rensselaer. What an amazing time this is, opening things up right now. And roads are getting busy, by the way. Trains a little less busy still so far, so you should feel free to, take the trains as well. But take advantage of this time. We've earned it. Our infection rate again today was down at, I think, 0.75%. Think of where we were a year ago. Think of where we were just 6 months ago. Our state is less likely to be infected and more likely to be vaccinated than just about any state in the country. And that's why we're not just opening up, we are open to business. I need people going back. I need you enjoying your favorite restaurant. I need you to help out. Hire some coders, will you? We need some more coders here as businesses get going again. But this is a really great time to be in Connecticut. It's going to be an amazing summer. I think each and every one of you have earned it. And I just appreciate your being so positive and being cheerleaders for the state. David, Chris, you've been great friends along the way. We had to work hard as we were getting things closed and then opening them up. Now they're open. Now the message is come visit some amazing venues right here in the great state of Connecticut. Thanks, everybody.
Governor, thank you very much. With that, that concludes our press conference. Happy to take any questions. Well, we're hoping the press is going to help us out with that, but no. No, understood, Paul. Joking aside, so we have the Say Yes Connecticut marketing campaign, as Ginny referenced. The governor has proposed in his budget, hopefully starting July 1st, additional monies to market the state, and that's tourism, that's economic development, and it's for resident attraction. The brand of Connecticut is very valuable right now. We want to get that out there, but the message today is very simple. It's back to business, and we want to keep getting that message out there. It's going to be person to person. It's going to need to resonate, and people's behaviors are going to change over time. So Paz, human behavior isn't going to change again on a dime. It is going to take some time after 14 months of a pandemic, and we understand that. And you're going to see people go back slowly. People have different levels of risk tolerance, but we're starting to see it already, as you hear from this group, and it's in the data, and you're going to see it increase in the data as we go through the summer. So, at the end of the day, this is about confidence in my mind, consumer confidence. Are you comfortable to go back to the office? Do you want to take that trip? Should we have the convention at the Connecticut Convention Center? So the best thing we can do, as the governor mentioned, is the vaccination rate is high, the infection rate is very low. Keep encouraging and getting the message out there, and a friend's going to tell a friend, or a colleague's going to tell a colleague. This is going to happen with the backdrop of high vaccination and low COVID as people want to get back to normal. Listen, my view, and the governor should weigh in here as well, is I think we need to lead by example at the state level, making sure we're coming back to the office, our employees are coming back to the office, give folks the confidence that that's going to happen. We've worked on a lot of different incentives as it relates to vaccination in terms of making sure people take that business trip. I think that's hard other than encouraging what we think is in their best interest. As you've heard from others, we think people are more effective when you're having that face-to-face interaction, when you're meeting that new client. That is going to be the forcing mechanism, I think, in many ways here.
Well, I got to take a look at it. The Fair Work Week is a bill that's wandering through the legislature right now and would ask that you give employees more notice. If you have to, cancel a shift, they deserve some compensation. That's pretty tough on the restaurants, Paz, as they're just trying to get going right now. I appreciate that, but it's also tough for a single mom who's just picked up some child care in anticipation of a Saturday job that gets canceled. So we're going to find a balance there. don't think there's anything coming out of the legislature that would discourage that, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to encourage, we're trying to egg people on, trying to tell them it's the right thing to do. You only got 5 or 6 more days of drinks on us. Take advantage of it. You don't want to be the one sap paying for a drink at the end of the table. We've had 1,000 people go to our website as regards the $1,000 sign-up bonus. I think some people are, there's been some hesitancy, some COVID hesitancy. We have to urge people on a little bit. Prices are right. Prices are down a little bit for airlines and hotels as we get people back going again. So take advantage of this time. Well, they're certainly taking advantage of the $1,000 incentive. We do have $50 million of federal money out there to help bridge and help our restaurants get going. A lot of them are taking advantage of the drinks on us. Remember, you go in, you get a drink, you also have to order a meal. I think that's ginning up some business. So, but most importantly, David and Chris, we got to get people back in the office in Hartford. We're doing that. All the forward-facing offices are open as of, 5 days, June 1st, whenever. And July 1, we want everybody back in the office unless you're, a telecommuter, of which there's a special category of folks, which will probably broaden over time. But I think that type of socialization is really important to business. Yeah, I think certainly schools, the vast majority of those kids have not been vaccinated, not even eligible to be vaccinated. So we're going to keep those masks on there at least through the end of this school year. Then your question is what happens in the fall? And look, if we get a full FDA approval of the vaccines, then it's easier, give people more encouragement for everybody to get vaccinated. And likely they'll be able to go back without a mask. But if there's still emergency use and a lot of people aren't vaccinated, we'll have to see. Through the end of this year. Through the end of this year for 2 reasons. If you look at what happened in 1918, 1919, you look around other parts of the world, you see that there are still pockets of folks who are much less likely to be vaccinated. And back 100 years ago, those were the places where you had flare-ups. So I think it's something we're going to monitor very carefully, at least through the end of this year. I would say for parents and your kids aren't vaccinated and you don't necessarily know who they're with, especially indoors, continue to wear the mask because they are a little bit more risk and the mask has worked. We had our schools open. Connecticut was more likely to have its schools open for in-person learning than just about any state, certainly in the Northeast, and we did it very safely because the masks work. We have sort of earned the right not to wear our masks right now because we're all vaccinated. And I think the kids' days will be coming pretty soon.
The data, and I was talking to Scott Tulch the other day, and one of the things we look at is open table data. And what open table does is, and I think there's around 600 restaurants, if I'm not mistaken, that track reservations on open table. And one of the things we constantly looked at is reservations in this day or this week versus the previous year. And the most recent data that Scott and the restaurant team shared with me was the previous week in Connecticut was basically in line with what we would have seen in May of 2019. And again, we want to get it where we're over 100%, but restaurants, again, and that just happened very recently. There were some dark days in January and February where it was 50% or 60% of what we previously saw. But recent data, again, just by that open table subset of restaurants, was in line with 2019. It is. If you look, I think there's over 30,000 unemployed in the hospitality and accommodation sector. So, as a few of us were discussing beforehand, I think we'll have a real good sense in early to mid-June, how quickly the pace of rehiring is accelerating and the impact of the $1,000 signing bonus that the governor announced. Not yet is the short answer for a couple of reasons. I mean, as was mentioned by Chris DiPatima, and the governor's mentioned it before, if you look at the business starts versus the business stops last year, it was a great year. Now, obviously, we have a significant amount of unemployed, but your question, Paz, is right. How much of that is structural versus cyclical? And I think we're really going to need to get to the end of the summer before we have a sense, is remote work going to have an impact on certain jobs or certain sectors? So my guess is September, October, you'll have a better sense of that. But if you just look at the employment or the firm numbers that are out there, so far it looks good. And our hope is that it's more cyclical than not, but we know there will be a structural impact here. In terms of how many are unemployed, last I checked, I thought it was around 170,000. I can get an updated number, but over 100,000 still unemployed. And I think roughly 60 to 70% of the jobs that we lost have been recovered since the lows of April of last year. I think there's two issues there in my mind, Paul. One is short term, again, the cyclical versus structural. I think we need to recover absolutely from the pandemic as quickly as possible. And in my mind, there's a very strong correlation with getting back to where we were pre-financial crisis with population growth. So as the governor's mentioned, we need more taxpayers, we need migration, we need to welcome growth and growth of people here in our towns. And I think that's the key to job growth. Yeah. If we welcome growth in migration and population, yes, I do.
This week. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know the details of the case. I hope the allegations are not true. Let's let the investigation play out a little bit. I know that he's stripped of his chairmanship and committee positions, which I think is appropriate. Goodbye. This is the Amazon construction site in Windsor, where now on several occasions a noose has been found there, which is a racist provocation of the worst type. And God, I thought we were behind this in this society, certainly in this state. And I can tell you that, I'm talking to Amazon. We're doing everything we can from a security point of view, everything we can from a law enforcement point of view, but I can't change people's hearts, and it just breaks my heart that this is still going on. My instinct is that is changing very quickly. Yeah. I think tomorrow. We want to get going. We want to get this down to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We want to get approval as quick as they can. Football season's coming up in a few months, so let's go. So far, the tea leaves are positive, but let's see.
We've now seen majorities in the House and Senate approve legislation that would essentially expand absentee voting eligibility, change the definition of sickness, drop the requirement about having voting voting hours that can't be count. Is this something that you support, that you would be, well, there's a lot of other stuff in the bill, so let's name the details. So let's just.
The answer to that is yes. The question, it was about a plan for no excuses absentee balloting. That didn't quite get through, but we did get more excuses absentee balloting, which makes it easier for people to cast an absentee ballot. I think we found last November that we could do it safely, we could do it with integrity, and I think people took real advantage of that, and it showed they were voting with their feet, so to speak, with the absentee ballot. So I'm proud of the fact that while other people are restricting voter access, we're making it easier for people to vote. I think it makes some sense. I understand, especially from a health point of view, you need to know your genetic background. I understand some of the concerns regarding the legislation, but I think it makes sense. I think I'd pass it. I think you got to be careful. I mean, we have folks in military manufacturing here. They have a whole set of criterion by federal law. We have, daycare and schools. I mean, I want to be very careful as we make a step towards making sure that as many people as possible can get a second chance safely. I've suggested maybe we start with misdemeanors and work from there, but that'll be a discussion. Is that? Who's this? President Biden, I'll get you in a minute. Here. I think we have to take a look at that list. I have not focused on it as much as I can, but I understand that you committed a crime, you served your time, you've been out in good behavior. Oh my gosh. We good? What's that? I was going to sit down. Remind me of the question again. Here's what I think. I think it's a step in the right direction. These crimes, you deserve a second chance. You've served your time. What the nature of those crimes are, how broad they are, the nature of the violence related to it, I would tend to walk before I run. I tend to start with a narrower set of nonviolent crimes, show that the system works, and then expand from there. That'd be my inclination. Yes. No, we got too much work to do. No time for politics. Yet. Say it again? No, I think it's great. I think the more people that want to get into the race, the better. It makes for a little lively summer. Look, I think we have broad agreement, A, on the nature of the regulation of legalized marijuana, THC content, how it's being sold, better than the underground market or going out of state. I think the discussion now is where do those revenues go? I think there's broad agreement. We want those revenues to go to help those who have been hardest hit by the war on drugs. And that means our most distressed communities, give folks an opportunity there to get back on their feet. You know, now the specifics of how that money is allocated is taking place across the way. We'll know in the next few days, I think. No, let's see what people come up with. You know what? I just have no idea. I'm sorry. I mean, let me get back to you on that. I think it was pretty popular. I think it was great for the restaurants, and I think consumers sort of liked it, and it didn't create any tough situations on the street. I hope the legislature continues making this permanent. Hey, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Just before we adjourn, I'm remiss I didn't mention we have two Hartford-based businesses that are also here. So we have Jerry Great from the tobacco shop in town, as I think may have been referenced before, and Herman Todd from Living Word Imprint. So if anyone wants to stick around or there's any questions for them as folks get back to business. But thank you again, everyone. Take care.